So in this video, I'm basically going to be breaking down exactly step by step and the strategy that I use in order to make over 80K with my freelance video editing business. Basically, I always keep it to like the three key rules, right? Those three key rules are portfolio, networking, and experience, right? So what I found to be the most important thing when it comes to actually landing jobs and actually landing clients as a freelance editor or whatever you do as a freelancer, right, is actually your portfolio. So when I just got started, I remember that when I would reach out to clients via DM, via cold calling, cold emailing, what I would actually do is that I would just send him like a Google Drive folder containing all of the different types of projects that I worked on, right? And yes, that was super unprofessional, but I was able to get a bunch of clients in the beginning. So it didn't necessarily hurt, but I feel like if I put a lot more emphasis in the beginning to actually create my website, then that could have gave me better results, right? So maybe instead of getting 20 out of 100, I maybe could have got 40 or 50, right? 50 is a little bit high, but yeah, that's pretty much it. So what are the most important things when it comes to your portfolio? One of the number one things that I see whenever I'm hiring an editor or whenever I'm hiring somebody to help me out with whichever type of creative project is actually if they have the experience that I'm looking for within their portfolio. So here's an example. So say you're trying to go for a corporate documentary gig, right? So if I'm somebody that's hiring for a corporate documentary, editor for a project, the first thing I'm going to be looking at is if their portfolio has the type of content that I'm actually looking to produce, right? So I'll go ahead and look at their portfolio. If somebody sends over a portfolio and it's only full of like, for example, YouTube edits, it's only full of like social media edits, and I'm looking to hire like somebody that has a corporate documentary style, then that's not necessarily somebody that I'm looking for, right? And that's one of the biggest mistakes that I see a lot of beginner freelancers make, and even experienced ones. Like I've done it before as well. That when you're sending out your portfolio to specific projects or you're sending out proposals, the most important thing is to tailor your portfolio for the specific type of project that you're requesting. So let's keep using that corporate documentary example. So if you're trying to get a gig that requires you to be a documentary type of editor, you're not going to send them over a bunch of social media edits or short form content editing, right? That would be like a really big mistake. What you want to do is tailor your portfolio, look for all the projects that are kind of related to that gig, what they're requesting, and you just want to send that over, right? One of my biggest tips is actually to have your own website, and in the website, just have different sections. Like for example, I have like I have I have like 6 sections in my portfolio, right? The first section is like YouTube, second social media edits, documentary edits, film edits. I have so many different sections, so whenever I send them my portfolio, I just guide them over to that area. And it's up to them to select whether or not they want to hire me after that point, right? But yeah, so that's pretty much the most important thing when it comes to landing good clients is your portfolio, right? So if you don't have one yet, get on it. Stop sending over the Google Drive folders. Like seriously, like Google Drive folders are cool for like in the beginning if you don't have a lot of experience, but once you're trying to land like bigger clients or you're reaching out to like agencies or studios, they definitely do not want to see your Google Drive folder, right? So go ahead and work on the website and your portfolio. So the second one is actually networking, right? So this is a step that took me actually a really long time to nail down as well. So just because as editors, most of us like keeping to ourselves, we work in a team, but when it comes to actually like grinding on the actual craft, it's mainly just ourselves, right? So something that comes with that is not really networking. Like, for example, if you're a videographer, you have to be there at the scene. You have to be shooting, right? But if you're not, if you're someone like an editor, you just get sent over the footage, like most of the time over like Google Drive. And that's pretty much the only networking you're doing is via email, via chat, Slack. Yeah. So I found that if you start networking very early on and you start actually going out to events and starting to, just make those contacts, it'll really help you out to keep on landing more clients and more jobs, right? Another big thing is also like delivering like your 150% of your work the best you can. Why? Well, that's mainly because if you don't deliver like the best work that you possibly can, then they're not going to hire you again. And that's something that you want to avoid, right? Because if you have 10 clients and you're just like slacking off on each project, then obviously they're not going to want to hire you back because you're not giving your 100%. So something that I found is that only take on as many clients as you can work on at one time. especially when it comes to like really complex animation and graphics. I personally can only handle about 2 to 3 clients on like really high level complex stuff. If you're somebody who is extremely good at animation and can like knock out like a 5 minute professional animated short in like, I don't know, like a week, then maybe you can handle more clients. But me personally, I feel like 2 to 3 is like my max, and that's like on a good week, I would say. So 2 to 3 is like really good. But yeah, so another step for networking is going on actual like freelancer websites, right? So in the beginning of my journey, I didn't really have a lot of clients that I could like constantly reach out with that constantly gave me work. So what I did is that I actually created my own profile on these freelancer websites. So Upwork, Fiverr. So a lot of people always say that you don't get like the best quality of clients on there, and I would agree. But if you go on those websites and you start like actually building up your profile, you will land really good clients. Me personally, I landed Vogue, I landed H&M, and I landed a Microsoft project straight off from Upwork. So it's definitely a possibility. And all you have to do is just, build up your experience. And then whenever you perform really well, ask your client for a review. Like if most of the time they will leave you a review. So, if you don't ask, you'll never know. So yeah, so start creating a presence on these freelancer platforms. So Upwork or Fiverr. If you have to pick one, personally, I would do Upwork just because I haven't had the great experience on Fiverr. I feel like even though there's like lower quality clients on both of these websites, Upwork still has like the higher quality than Fiverr. And I feel like you have more of a connection with your client via Upwork. So that's what I personally recommend. And and 3 is just experience, right? So you just want to get better at your craft. When it comes to any creative endeavor, the better you are, which is obvious, the more clients you're going to get. But you don't fall into this trap, right? So you can be an amazing creator, an amazing creative, but if you don't put yourself out there, then nobody's going to know that you're actually good, right? And that's what happened to me in the beginning. So I spent like 2 to 3 years just building up my skills and landing clients. But I feel like if I started promoting more of my work earlier, I would have got way more clients and I would be able to like build my clientele list way faster, right? I know that it's hard putting yourself out there and it's hard like actually talking to camera, posting yourself on YouTube, like posting yourself on social media. But I've landed so many clients at work just because I posted like a day in the life video of what I do, right? That's such a simple video that you can create and it could potentially land you clients, right? We're basically living in a world that's so digitally connected now that everything's pretty much going to be online. Like in the future, if it's not already like that, like most companies are going to hire based off of your social media portfolio, right? Like, are you actually putting in the work? Are you actually working on what, you're going to improve? Like, are you actually working day to day trying to improve your craft? And if you're not, they're going to see that and they're going to probably hire somebody else who does have that experience. And yeah, that's why I think it's extremely important to start putting yourself out there. Because if you don't put yourself out there, then they're going to pretty much hire other people that are doing that. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. Yeah, but those are pretty much the 3 most important things that I've found when you're trying to become a freelance editor, a freelance designer, a freelancer of any kind. So your portfolio, networking, and experience. Those are the golden 3. All right, and this one is actually like a really hidden tip, and it's a secret tip that I've used to actually differentiate myself between other people who are, trying to get the same projects that I am. And number 4 is to actually have your own style. Okay, so what does this actually mean, having your own style? So there's so many people who are copycats, right? So especially when it comes to the creative world, we see a lot of different artists that have a really cool style and we want to emulate that style, right? And I've personally done this too. There's like this really cool artist that I follow called Blink, and he has some really cool like collage animation that I copied for like months, and I try to like get that style. But then I realized that if a company is looking at my work and they're looking at Blink's work, they're gonna be like, oh, we know that Blink was the original author and the original artist, so why would we hire this other person who's just emulating that style? So that's when I realized that, you know what, I need to have my own style, right? I can take influences and I can steal like an artist, right? If you don't know what that phrase means, it basically means that you can take influences from other artists and from other work, but you make it your own and you make it into something that you can only create. And that's something that that's something that has been helping me be able to land more clients because my work looks way different than somebody else's, right? I remember when like the short form content boom like really exploded, right? there was a lot of people using this same style of like the Alex Hermosi style of short form content. And every single person was requesting this similar style. But what happened is that everybody had the same similar looking content. And eventually it didn't start getting the results that the original style, which Alex Hermosi had, that style basically got cut out and then nobody uses it anymore. And that's something that happens to every single trend and every single style. That's why it's important to have your own style. Yes, there's going to be people who are probably going to try to copy your style, but you'll be known as one of the first pioneers of that style. And that's something that I'm trying to do myself with my own style, right? So if people copy me, then that's cool. But if they don't, then, more power to myself. But yeah, so those are the 4 tips that I have. So portfolio, networking, experience, and have your own style. Those are the 4 most important things that I found that have actually helped me build my business, and things that I will continue on working on as well so I can keep growing my business. So I also have like a few additional tips as well that actually helped me get to over 80K with my freelance business. And that's pretty much just starting, right? It's something very simple, but you can watch so many of these videos, right? And you can have all the knowledge in your head, but if you don't actually get started, then all your skills, all your ideas, that's all gonna go to the trash. Why? Because you're not actually putting yourself out there to do it. And for me personally, it took me a really long time to get started just because I'm more of like an introvert. But when I finally decided and I finally got the ball rolling, it just kept rolling and rolling and rolling, and it kept building and building. And it's helped me like be able to grow the business that I have today. And I was only able to get there because I literally grinded my ass off for years and years. If you don't get started, then that's never gonna actually come to fruition. And the things that you're actually looking to pursue and achieve, that's not actually gonna happen either if you don't put yourself out there and start grinding. But yeah, so that was the video for today. That was pretty much how I was able to earn over 70, 80K on my freelance video editing business. And I'm still trying to like grow it even more. But yeah, catch you guys next time.